All right, so today we're going to be doing a LS430 IS200 plug and play for a left-hand drive vehicle. So let's get into it. All right, so this is a brand new harness that has been built, so the customer's not opted for us to rework his existing one. It's for a customer in Korea. So as you can see, everything is brand new. All the wires are brand new. We've salvaged the connectors and we replaced all the terminals and grommets to go with it. So what we're going to do now, because you can't see it and it's all protected under heat shrink, we're going to go and show you the build process and what it looks like underneath, and we'll do that and come back to you in a second. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to run around the engine and show you where everything goes on here. So starting from this side over here, it's really nice and easy. You've got your plugs and your ECU over there. You've got your resin patch that goes over to plug into your two standard IS200 ECU plugs in there. You've got your gray and your black plug. So in this case, we're not using the blue plug because the customer has an automatic IS200. So his speed signal is coming from the ABS ECU. So we don't have to worry about that. And he's not using a Toyota gearbox anyway, so all we've done is basically put a reverse plug on the harness so that he can attach it to whatever reverse switch he wants, so the reverse light and everything will work as we want it to. So we've only got the gray and the black plug in here. We've then got our signal converter for the tachometer. Obviously this is putting out a 4-cylinder signal, we need a 6-cylinder signal, so the remap takes care of all the gauges in terms of their communication by MPX. So now we just need to fit this on so we can convert a 4 to a 6-cylinder signal for them. All right, so that's this section over here. Obviously you come to your grommet over there, come up along your grommet down here, and then we have the first split over here. So I'm just going to go down the front so long, and then we'll work our way around the back there. So at your first split here, you've got your ground for your coils, which is bolting on here, and obviously you can put a P-clamp on there to obviously hold that harness in place. We've also got ignition 1, so as you can see, everything is labeled, every single connector and wire there. So you've got ignition 1, and then we've got the oil control valve for the left bank. So remember, this is the left bank, so we've got 1, 3, 5, and 7. Right bank's got 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay. Coming down there, we also have the split out here for the cam sensor, so that comes down over there, and obviously there's a mounting point there that you can use a clip or something to mount it to. Coming down here, you've got your 2 mounting points, so you've got your clip there, and you've got your clip over there. The harness comes down to here, and then it breaks out to go to the various sections. So we've got the section that runs through here, and that then goes to your crank sensor over there. We've then got the thin wire. In this case, because we're using an LS430 engine, the customer's going to have to change over to a front sump, and this oil filter housing and everything will move backwards. So this is a little bit longer in that case. But there's your oil pressure switch over there. We've also got your aircon plug, just plug directly in. Now remember, you can't use an LS430 aircon because they had a PWM controlled solenoid on the back, so you need to use a GS430 or an SC430 aircon pump in this particular application if you are going to use aircon. And then lastly, we've got our O2 sensor, which goes around the back there. So again, we don't go through there because it gets too close to the exhaust. We come here, so we keep this all nice and away from a heat source of an exhaust. All right, so coming over there, obviously that splits, and this makes its way around here, and then we have a split here in the middle, which goes off to your cam sensor on your left bank. Obviously coil 3 and coil 5. Comes towards the back here, it splits off again here. That goes to your coil 7 over there. We also have the split that comes off for the reverse switch that he's going to attach to his gearbox. And if I just walk around here, just going to go there. We've got our earth, which earths over there onto the block. You'll see the little M6 bolt over there. Then we've got our sub harness connector. So this is the one that goes under the inlet, and that goes to your starter and your knock. So that's that one over there. He's provided his entire sub harness, including the power cable. So you can see we've done that all up for him, and we put this inside the plastic frame there for him. And then we have the injector and the ACIS harness that goes under the inlet. So what I'll do is I'm going to put a little link in the top corner. When you come to install it, please watch that video, and that'll show you how to install the actual harness that goes underneath. And obviously that one goes underneath, and then it pops out like here to go to all your injectors, and then your acoustic control induction vacuum solenoid valve underneath there. So that's all new and replaced. Right, so now I'm going to have to go around the other side to carry on. So coming around here, obviously we just come straight from here. We've got a P-clamp over there holding it in place. Coming around here, we've got a P-clamp on that bolt over there holding it in place. And now we've got the earth that comes down and bolts to the other M6 bolt on the head over here. Out the other side, we've got coil 8. So again, all labeled up. And coming further along, we have the breakout over here, which then goes to the cam sensor on the right bank. Also to ignition 6 and ignition 4. And then we're coming to the front here where it's going to break out and go to the coolant temp sensor, which is over there. It's then going off to the throttle sub harness plug, which goes off to the throttle, and you've got your drive-by-wire motor and your TPS on the other side. I'll just do it on the front in a minute. Then we're coming off and we're breaking to the oil control valve over here. And then coming up here, we've got your mass airflow sensor over there. So you make it quite a lengthy size so that obviously you can just put wherever you need to put your MAF in your particular installation. You should have plenty of length for that. Then coming down here, we then break out over here, and that's going to be our 3-pin DTM plug for our alternator. So there's your another sub harness over there for your alternator. We've then got your low oil level sensor. So obviously in this particular case, we've got a mid sump from an mid/rear sump from an LS430. This would obviously plug into your sump, which goes over there. And then coming down here, you've got your O2 sensor over there. So that is all that. Okay, so coming back to the throttle section over there, we are just going to go around here, and you're going to see that there is your TPS plug. So I've run the wire underneath, and it's gone through like that over there. Okay, so that is the way the harness is laid out. Hopefully it should be really straightforward and simple when you get it. The only thing that you have to do on your side is obviously plug the main cable onto the battery positive, and then your alternator will have a main cable which you want to run along. Usually in your case, because your left-hand drive, your fuse box is going to be here, so you kind of just want to run it along there up to the fuse box over there. So it's a nice short little wire. It's not too major. Okay, so that's the whole harness and how it works and lays out there. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump off quickly, come back, and we're going to carry out all the testing. So see you in a second. All right, so on to the testing. So what are we going to be doing today? Obviously we're going to be firing up the engine to make sure everything works as it should. But because it's an IS200 plug and play, we're going to look at things like the ambient temperature, the charge light, the oil pressure lights, that's your battery light, oil pressure lights. We're going to test the reverse wires to make sure that circuit's okay. Speedo in this case is not applicable, obviously, because it's an auto originally, so it's going to take the signal from the ABS ECU. OBD2 test, obviously we're just making sure that our OBD2 machine communicates via the standard IS200. We'll test the fuel pump relay with the OBD2 tester. This system in an LS430, obviously that controls the fuel pump in the IS200 via the ECU, so that works like that. We're also going to test the AC clutch as well to make sure that that's working as it should. Once we fire her up, obviously we're going to look at the starter circuit. That'll be evident by the fact that it starts up. We're going to look at the drive-by wire, so you'll see we've got a pedal over there wired in, and that's plugged into the pedal plug over there. Then we're going to look at the ACIS system. So what we're looking for is this particular valve over here at the moment is in the open position. It will then shoot down to the closed position as soon as we start the engine up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to test the oil control valves for the VVT-i system. So you've got the 2 oil control valves here and here. So we can actually test them with that. What it's going to do is retard the cam, so the engine is going to sound like it's a big cammed motor, and then we know that all the oil control valves are working and wired correctly. Then we're going to go around and we're going to unplug each injector one by one. So that's going to then tell us that each cylinder is firing correctly and everything is fine. That'll obviously test both the coil and the injector at the same time, because if the coil wasn't firing, we'd have a misfire. If we have a perfectly smooth fire, pull the injector out, get a misfire, everything is fine. Then we're going to look at the tachometer, make sure that's correct. I have calibrated it, so you'll see it's pretty accurate when it goes on there. And then we're going to look at the coolant temp. So that's going to be on the cluster here. So basically we're making sure that our coolant temp is displaying on the cluster there. Okay, so first things first, as it's a plug and play, obviously you're just going to use exactly what you would in a normal vehicle. Here's your ignition, you're just going to be inserting your key, and obviously for the OBD2 you're just going to be plugging into your standard one there. Obviously the customer's vehicle is left-hand drive, so here's going to be on that side, but same difference, it's all going to be exactly the same. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is put the ignition on, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go look at the ambient temperature. So I'm just going to scoot around here. And you can see they're displaying 16 degrees centigrade, so that's all working 100% fine. Then we're going to come over to the cluster over here. We see we've got the check engine light indicating the ECU is on. We can see we've got our battery light over there. We've got our low oil pressure light over there. And I've removed the bulb, but there would be a low oil light over there as well. You can actually see the coolant temp gauge has actually risen from the pin over there, so that is working, but obviously it'll go up a little bit when we start it up as it starts to warm up. Okay, so we've gone through ambient temp, charge light, oil pressure. So now let's go over to reverse, and basically what we're looking for is I'm going to join those two wires together for the reverse, and we're going to listen for the beeping of the reverse. So all I'm doing is that's your reverse plug there. So the customer's going to attach those two wires to his reverse switch for his gearbox, and all I'm going to do is touch them together. I'm going to move closer to the cluster so you can hear it. So there you go. So that's all good. So we know that circuit's 100% correct. So his reverse lights will be coming on, and he's got the annoying beep from the IS200 going on there. All right. Next up is OBD2. So obviously I'm already in the system over there. We can actually see the live data. So we see we've got 50 degrees, 20 degrees intake, air temp, and 15% throttle position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into function and system select, just so you can see it's picking it up as an LS430. So it's plugged into the standard IS200 port, but you can see straight away it knows it's an LS430 going in there. Okay, so moving on, now we're going to do the fuel pump relay test, and we're going to do the AC clutch relay test. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into active test. Okay, so coming down here, let's do AC magnetic clutch first, because that's the first one on the list. Right, so as soon as I hit this to on, the relay is obviously going to go on. Now it's going to be a bit difficult to hear, so I'm going to try and move over, because the AC magnetic clutch relay is in this little fuse box next to the ECU, and we've kindly got someone with a pressure washer on the outside there. So I'm just going to, hopefully you guys can hear. Okay, so absolutely fine, that works. The relay is clicking as it should, and that's obviously being controlled by the ECU as it should. All right, so next up we're going to go into fuel pump relay. So we're just going to go back to active test. We're then going to go into fuel pump relay over there. Now you'll see fuel pump relay and fuel pump. I do have a video explaining why that is. Obviously the way that Toyota control their fuel system. So if you want more information on that, find that video. I'll actually put a link up there for you. Alright, so now we're going to go into fuel pump. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push the arrow to the side, and yes, you're going to hear the fuel pump relay click. And so the fuel pump relay, or it's actually called the circuit opening relay, is in the fuse box over there. So I'm going to come close over there and fantastic. So again, being controlled by the ECU exactly as we wanted to, so that's all perfect. Right, so next up now we're going to start her up. So again, I'm just going to repeat what we're going to do as the startup procedure. It will be loud, there are no manifolds, just their manifold headers on here. So basically we're going to do the starter circuit, obvious, when it starts, we know that works 100%. We'll go over and we'll push the pedal to do the drive-by-wire. We'll then check the ACIS at the back here, or I may do that first as soon as I finish starting it. Then we'll go onto the machine and we'll test the oil control valves, both of them, make sure they're working. We'll then go through each of the injectors and pull them out one by one, and you'll hear the misfire as we do. Then we'll look at the tacho and make sure that's correct. I may just do that as soon as I start anyway, so no particular order there. Then we'll look at the coolant temp, which we kind of have already done, but we'll come back at the end and we'll see it's obviously raised up as the engine's got warm as we've run it. Okay, so again, nice and simple, plug and play, key in the ignition, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see all the lights have gone out. We've got no codes or check engine light there. We can see the ACIS valve has gone down. That's perfect. You can see we've got an RPM signal there coming through Test the oil control valves on bank 1. Okay. Then we're going to go over to bank 2. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to go around and start with all the injectors. So we're going to do number 8, number 6, number 4, number 2, coming around here, number 7, number 5, number 3, and number 1. Perfection. Okay, obviously we've got tacho. We can see the coolant temp is rising up even more now. That's absolutely fine. And that is basically it. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back on again, and obviously we are going to go into the trouble codes. Of which we have 0. So obviously the remap of the ECU has removed all of the automatic gearbox in the entire ECU, so you get absolutely 0 codes even though you've got nothing connected for a gearbox. So that's done its trick as well. Obviously all the other things that come with the remap, like improved throttle response, etc., are all included in that. Okay, so as you see, really nice and simple. Hopefully it's really straightforward to get it all in. Remember, if you want to go back, I've got the section over there of how to install the injector and ACIS. The rest is all relatively straightforward. You've got your throttle one over there. You've got your alternator one over there. You've got your pedal over there, which is going to plug in and go through your firewall. You've got your sub harness, which goes underneath, which in your case is part of this plastic frame. So that's all good. And that's about it, really. So it should be relatively straightforward. Hopefully you get it back, plug everything in, and just like we've done here, all runs absolutely smooth with no check engine lighting codes there. And for everyone else, thanks for watching. We'll include the photos of it all done and nicely photoed at the end, and that's all. So again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask away. If you would like quotes or anything, please just message on our Facebook page. We've got someone now dedicated to actually looking at your messages, and they'll sort them all out, and I'll get quotes out to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching. Let's get this harness in the box and off to Korea. Cheers. Bye-bye.